Hey everyone, Nate or Memory here, whatever you would like to call me, it doesn't really matter. Usually here on YouTube and the internet I go by Memory, but you can call me Nate, you can call me Memory, it doesn't really matter to me. That's not the important thing here though, my name, not important at all with what we're going to be talking about here. I'm here to give you all my take on the classic 1995 film Whisper of the Heart by the ever so famous Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. Pretty sure you've heard of them. If you haven't, I know it's the oldest saying in the book, but you've definitely been under a rock. I say, as every anime fan, you should watch at least one Ghibli film. If you're an anime fan, you need to watch at least one Ghibli film in your lifetime. I say all of them, but you need to at least watch one. And Whisper of the Heart definitely would be one to start off with if you want to get into Miyazaki films and Ghibli films. Whisper of the Heart would be a great one to start off with. And in this video, I'm going to break down Whisper of the Heart. I'm going to give you the positive things from it that I found and the weaker things I found with Whisper of the Heart. With most Ghibli films, it is hard to find weak points, but I did. I found strong points and weak points of Whisper of the Heart, and I'm going to break that down for you all. And at the very end, I'm going to give you my final thoughts and opinions of Whisper of the Heart. Personally, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Ghibli film of all time. So let's get into the review. Whisper of the Heart, simply put, is a relaxing, feel-good coming-of-age story which revolves around two young teens, Shizuku and Seiji, who are both trying to find their path and their voice in the world. Shizuku is a junior high student who is an aspiring writer, while Seiji, on the other hand, is an aspiring violin crafter who also, he does play the violin every so often. The film does add muted fantasy elements as well as giving the viewer a sense of adventure, but even with that being incorporated into this film, which is a coming of age story, it doesn't shy away from that. It doesn't become a straight fantasy adventure show. It keeps that coming of age story there between Shizuku and Seiji. Most would say that this premise is cliche, and honestly, I would agree. But the way Miyazaki adds his little twist, that Ghibli touch to it, it makes it feel alive. It makes it feel relaxing. This is just a feel good film, and it honestly makes it different than any other Ghibli film that I have watched. Starting off here with what I found to be the strong aspects of Whisper of the Heart, and let me tell you, oh boy, are there a lot of them. Much like any other Ghibli film that you watch, there are tons of strong aspects, things, lessons you can take from these films with very little weaknesses to maybe even no weaknesses or flaws at all, and Whisper of the Heart is no exception to that. It is exactly that. The world of Whisper of the Heart feels so alive and beautiful, and it's presented in that way. It honestly feels like you are in this world with Shizuku and Seiji, and even with the nature of this story, it being a slice of life, coming of age, romantic story, and there's literally no action scenes at all compared to Princess Mononoke, where Ghibli is able to reach their max potential with animation and art. You don't really see that here in The Whisper of the Heart, but it is still presented in a beautiful way and it is shown in that way. And this came out, let me remind you, in 1995, and it definitely 100% holds up to what you see coming out today, and it holds up with every other Ghibli film for sure. The music used in Whisper of the Heart is honestly what I would find to be the strongest aspect of the film as a whole. If I had to give you one thing from this film that I would put above everything else, it would be the music. Without a doubt. The insert songs used throughout so many of the scenes, especially the most impactful and most emotional scenes, did a tremendous job. Tremendous doesn't even explain it. They just did a phenomenal job of making you feel these moments and making you feel like you was there. It was just so fitting, and I was sold on the music in Whisper of the Heart at the very beginning of the film. When you're going through Shizuku's town, you get a very good look at it for a good 4, 5, maybe 6 minutes, and that song, Take Me Home, Country Roads, is playing over that. And you hear that song again at the very middle of the film, the midpoint, the most impactful, most important point, in my opinion, of the film, where Shizuku and Seiji really bond and become very, very good friends for the first time. That's really when they see their love for each other, is when they're singing Take Me Home, Country Roads together. And midway through that song, you see Seiji, his grandfather, and their friends. They come down into the basement, and and they're all playing the song together. That was just so beautiful. Definitely my favorite moment of Whisper of the Heart, and that's why the music has such a special place with me. Just the way the music made you feel in certain scenes, especially that scene I just mentioned, it's remarkable. It's a spectacle. It's beautiful, and I cannot say enough about the music in Whisper of the Heart. 10 out of 10 for the music, honestly. It just was so fitting, so relaxing, set the mood correctly, and I loved it. I really did. I cannot say enough about the music in Whisper of the Heart. Another thing that I found done tremendously with Whisper of the Heart is the way it works with its characters and the way you can relate and connect with the two main characters, Shizuku and Seiji, even with them being so young, even with them being junior high students. You could be going through your adolescence, you could be a young adult, you could be in your late 20s, early 30s, whatever age you are, and you can honestly relate with these two characters, even with them being so young, because what they're trying to do is find out what they want to be in life, what they want to do in life. They want to find their path, their voice in the world. And some people figure that out very, very quickly in life. Some people are still trying to find out. And some people, sadly, don't ever find out what they want to be or do in life. And that's why you can relate with Seigi and Shizuku so much, no matter what your situation is, because maybe you found out what you want to be in life, and you can look back and see, oh, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, but look what happened. Or you could still be going through that, and as you watch this film, you see what Shizuku and Seiji are trying to do and what they're going through in the film. And even though Seiji and Shizuku, I'd say, are your typical romance male and female leads, you can really connect, bond, and feel for them both as individuals and as a couple because of what they are trying to do. They are trying to find out what they want to do in life and how they are going to do it and what steps they are going to take to get to that point in their lives. And you don't really get that with a lot of romance films because of the time given, and even a lot of shows, because you may feel for one character but not the other, and when they come together, it just doesn't feel right. But with Whisper of the Heart, you have Shizuku, you get what she's going through as an individual, as a person. You get what Seiji's going through as an individual, as a person. And when they come together, you feel for both of them. You want them to be together. You're happy that they are together. And that's why I love the focus of Whisper of the Heart being Shizuku and Seiji and them trying to find their way in life. Shizuku as a writer and Seiji as a violin maker. And it is truly beautiful. It really is. There are two side characters I feel that definitely should be brought up and mentioned when talking about Whisper of the Heart and their impact on the story and their impact on Shizuku and Seiji as individuals. And the first one being the Baron. And the Baron is referred to as the helper of all. He is the leader of the mysterious cat bureau, and he is an artisan, and he magically comes to life one day and takes Shizuku on the ride of her life. And we knew from the very beginning of the film, when Shizuku first lays her eyes on the Baron statue in the shop, she falls in love with the statue. She loves it. She completely adores it. She loves being around it. She loves seeing it. And when he comes alive, the Baron, she is just, it's like she was in a dream when the Baron took her around the whole city and they're just in the sky flying around and just seeing everything down below. That was beautiful, and it definitely was at a time when Shizuku really wasn't in the best of mood. She was kind of in a down time, so when the Baron came alive like that and brought those fantasy elements and that more sense of adventure to Whisper of the Heart, it really was impactful, and it really did play a big role in Shizuku and what was going on with her at that exact moment in the film. The second being Seiji's grandfather. So much like how the Baron had a huge impact on Shizuku, Seiji's grandfather had a big, huge impact on him. Because believe it or not, Seiji's parents didn't really believe in his dream. They didn't really believe in what he wanted to do. They didn't think he would be able to sustain himself, be happy with life if he was a violin maker. His grandfather, on the other hand, believed in him, believed in his dream, wanted him to be a violin maker, always was there to support him. And that was good for Seiji to have someone like that in his life and someone to be there for him. Because when your parents aren't there for you like that, that's big. That is huge. And that could definitely, especially being a young junior high student, that could definitely have a big toll and a big impact on someone. So for his grandfather to be there for him was big. And of course, that scene that I brought up before in the middle of the film where Seiji's grandfather hears Shizuku and Seiji playing Take Me Home, Country Roads, and he comes down with his two friends and they all start playing together. I would honestly say that that is like one of my favorite scenes in anime. Definitely my favorite scene in Whisper of the Heart. That scene is just so beautiful, so breathtaking, so impactful after what Shizuku was going through, after what Seiji was going through, and them bonding, coming together with the grandfather, with everyone there, just having a great time in that moment. It was special. It really was. Now, this is going to be me nitpicking a little tiny bit, and I don't really like doing this because honestly, in my eyes, Whisper of the Heart has no flaws. I could not find anything wrong or anything that I didn't like with it. But if I had to give you something, it would be the pacing. If you are not a fan of slow-paced shows, movies, you most likely wouldn't like this as much as, say, a Princess Mononoke. It's action-packed, action everywhere for the majority of the film. But it's understandable why the film is paced the way it is because of the story that's being told and how it is coming across. So if you're not a fan of slow-paced shows, this one may not be for you. I personally loved it, but that's just me nitpicking. Another thing would be the ending. The ending leaves off kind of open-ended, I would say, because you don't really know what's going on with Shizuku at the end. You do know that Seiji is going back to school. There is no kiss at the end. There is a very beautiful scene with both of them on the cliff at the end. It is beautiful, remarkable, but if they would have kissed, it would have made that scene just so much more beautiful than it already was, and I would have loved to see that. So those would be two things. If I had to give you any, it was very hard, much like any Ghibli film is, to point out flaws, but that would be what I would say. Overall, Whisper of the Heart is a very tremendous, feel-good, coming-of-age romantic story between two strong main characters in my eyes, Shizuku and Seiji, who are both, like I said, just trying to find their way in life and what they want to do and how they're going to do it and just find their path, their voice in the world. And you see from the very beginning of the film to the very end of the film the steps they take and just how much they progress, both as individuals and as a romantic couple together, of course. And it's just fantastic. It is a treat to watch. I would definitely recommend it to anyone and everyone. If you just want to get into a Ghibli film for the first time, I would put this up there with Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke. It's a more underrated Ghibli film, I would say, but it's definitely worth the watch. If you're a fan of the slice of life, romance genres, this is definitely right up your alley. And if you're a fan of just healing anime is what they call it, this one's for you as well. If you just had a bad day at work or whatever the case may be, you can come sit down, lay down, whatever, and watch Whisper of the Heart, and it's very good for the soul. It'll make you feel good, and that's what I love so much about it. That's why it is my favorite Ghibli film that I've ever watched. It was the first Ghibli film that I ever watched, and that's why when Tony the Black Critic Guy came to me with this whole Studio Ghibli idea for this month, and he asked me which movie I wanted to review, I was like, Whisper of the Heart better be available. Whisper of the Heart better be available. And it was. And I'm so happy that I was able to share my views, thoughts, and opinions on Whisper of the Heart with Tony and with all of you. And I want to thank you all so much for listening to me. And definitely this would be a 10 out of 10 if you didn't know, because I couldn't even find any flaws with this. And it's hard to do that with a lot of Ghibli films. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching once again. And take me home, country roads. Remember that. Always remember.